Aniruddh Kothari. Ani, portfolio accepted.
Good going, and I get to go first.
Yeah.
And I get to be really proud of you because he helped me in a weekend workshop. And it was very helpful and obviously learned a lot. And I take full credit for everything he did. The rest of his life. We're just waiting for pictures to come up. Really, but it's beautiful work and act well. I'll talk about the ones that are inspired by, which, hold on, wait, I got the wrong mouse. Maybe I'd rather have you talk about it and then I can tell you.
I'm going to do that. We're going to take your mouse away now.
So I should put my face up, I should like not go into this kind of thing. Thank you so much. Okay, well let's see. Which is your favorite?
It's the first one.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's the first one, the last one, because the last one is in color. And that's the only one in the series that's in color. And the first one because of the shape and the form.
Okay. Well, so the shape and the form.
Yeah.
How is the shape different from the form?
In terms of flower.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's not my favorite for a couple of reasons, but if maybe I'll go back now to the two that are my favorites. And although the form, you may say, is a little twisted or not so clear, but I feel that the powder and the path of the powder is motivated by what she did. We know, well, you told me, that she's throwing the powder. So the form of the powder is a logical extension of her movement,
Yeah.
as opposed to just that she's jumping in powder. And I think the first one, to go back there, could be that someone was throwing powder from the side or above. So I didn't really feel the connection between what she's doing and the shape of the powder. It's like two interesting things put together. But the last one had, I thought, more depth to it. And I always have a personal bias against hands like this, but that's just me. So it is also interesting, I mean, especially at the end of the series, to see it in color because it's kind of neutral color. It's skin tone color, which is I like that color too because it's not saying color. It just brings another dimension to a black and white image, but because it's of the human form and body, it reads as natural. So I think that adds a lot of dimension. Do you like what she's doing, or you didn't?
No, I know what she's doing.
Okay. So this was my favorite one. No, because it's really unusual that she's twisted into the shadow,
Yeah.
which is interesting. The other one, I think this might be, it's funny, I actually saw them so much better up there. Here the face is so beautifully defined by the powder. So in that sense, I think this might be here. And there's also so many different textures of the flower. So you've got the little droplets, you've got sort of the smoky stuff. And so this effect that's put in is morphing in a still picture from smoky to powder, as opposed to being something that you can just say, this is what it is, if that makes any sense. And I think that the light really works so well on this because of the highlight, shadows, and the interesting things being lit. And also, I do feel a connection between what he's doing and the powder. Now, what I always ask people when they look at my work is, are they going up or going down? And I think you got him going down, or do you not remember?
I don't remember.
Okay, because the powder's above him, so he probably threw it, and then he's going down. And I don't need to believe it. This you cropped in for a reason that I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
the only reason I cropped it in because I found this crop a lot more interesting with the powder forming a shape of wings. And that's how I looked at it. And I was like, I think I like this crop better than the other one.
Mhm.
It's off center as well.
I feel there's not really enough sharp in here to act as an anchor to hold me. About the only thing we have sharp is that little bit of powder here. And I feel like there's so much blur going on that I'm kind of not being held in. I want a little bit more to be able to focus on.
Yeah, I think it's too, I've seen the wings now. But, this one might, it might suffer from clarity, believe it or not. Like if we hadn't seen the other, you'd say, wow, this is great. And he is connected. You see the connection of his hands to the powder. It's the least dynamic. Sometimes the more you see, the more explicit it is.
Yeah, there's not as much mystery in here.
Yeah. So I don't need
It also
to-
looks like it's exposed more. I think what I love about the image up on the top,
Right.
is that there's so much more shadow area. That shadow area, I think, is really adds to the mystery. And I love the way you have his face in this. I think it's just so powerful, and I love the way the light crosses his chest. It's quite dynamic. And the other one just kind of loses it because we see too much.
He has a totally three-dimensional feel in
Yeah.
a really beautiful sculptural way.
So I was told, did you went to dance companies?
I got in touch with the local dance studio.
Uh-huh.
Initially, I did this once just with one dancer, and
Uh-huh.
then he was a student at UMass. So he got me in touch with the entire UMass dance majors class, and everyone came in, and then we had like a big shoot right over here.
Right here, I heard that. That takes guts. To know the pattern. Well, I mean, I gotta congratulate you. It's really, really well done, and you put in a lot of effort. Did you have them, did you tell them what to do, or did you direct what they gave you?
I asked them to show me a couple of moves, and so they kept playing around, showing me a couple of moves, and I was like, I like that, I like that. I asked them to give me a couple of different ones, and there were like 8 to 10 of them, so everyone kept rating each other and saying, why don't you try this, why don't you try that, and that's how we got the moves out.
It's great working with dancers. I'm gonna pass the floor over, but I just have to also just commend these so much. These two, these three, which is such a,
Put the
I
mouse
can
down
laugh
and
at
back away.
myself. I can laugh at myself, it's fine.
There's one more.
I didn't want that one. No. I mean, the great thing is within the same black and white color palette, you have a completely different mood with so many different interesting things going on. I mean, the graphics, obviously. I've never seen such a wonderful shot of such a magical shot of a young ballerina, with the whole magic of performing, the mystery at night, and it's just so clean and classic and all the tones, and other people can say probably more about it than I can. This I loved because of the implicit narrative that she's gone from being under the spotlight, and I feel she's left the spotlight.
Yeah.
So I don't know, did you intend that?
Yeah.
See? We're just twins separated at birth. And this, where did you find this location? It's water. I couldn't believe it's water when I looked at the
It's
bridge.
actually under a tunnel, it's under a bridge.
Wow, awesome.
The Connecticut Bridge opposite the Connecticut Science Center.
Wow.
Did you use any light on that, or is it natural?
Yes, I did use some light on it to highlight the dress.
And they're behind this, the archways right there on the left and the right?
No, the light was right in the frame.
Just take it out.
Oh, you just took it out there. Okay, that's what I thought.
Wow. And it matches your last one, but I'll let the others know.
Okay.
I think that's definitely one of my favorite shots. I mean, certainly the shots up here that we were talking about, they're really beautiful. And these photos, I loved your use of space, and I thought these were great. And I love the proportions, I love the smallness and the delicacy of them. I loved your still lifes here, except until I got really close to them, And then I started seeing the retouching on them, just, they're not sharp. And that's the thing about the still life, is you want to be able to see closely and with great detail. And if you can't get inside of it and see with a whole bunch of clarity, then the idea, which is really exquisite, and it's a beautiful idea and it's gorgeous, then it starts to, you know, miss a little bit. And I think you can kind of see it's very, very difficult to sort of pick this out, and obviously that would be really hard to do the retouching, but then that's part of what the work is to be able to do that.
But as a shot, without looking that closely, which I didn't, I was too into the powder, it's really gorgeous, and I love the way you gel the lights, because you don't often see the gel highlight. It's more like white.
I have two absolute, obviously I love the dance. The dance sequence that you highlighted was just beautiful. Outside of that, these were two of my favorites. But I have to say, I also was drawn to this one. I like it because it's a surprise. I just find it interesting. I would love to have seen a person in it, but only because I love photographing people, and now that I've seen your little dancers and all the stuff you do, I would love to see something high key down at the bottom, but I don't even know if that would work. But whatever the case is, I think it's really, really quite interesting. This was one of my favorite images as well, because I love the contrast of kind of the strong pose she has by the romantic archways, and then the repeating lines were very beautiful. How many, did you have another series, did you do a full series of this?
On this location.
Uh-huh.
No, on that location, it was just this one thing. I had to do different moves.
Oh, I see, okay.
So we kept trying a lot of different things, but then a couple of them didn't work out, and this one turned out to be the strongest in terms of the pose as well as the location. I gave a strong look to it, so I went with this one.
And I really love this one. This one to me is very spooky almost. She looks like a little ghost ballerina, and I find it very, very intriguing. Where did you, what was your inspiration to this photograph?
I figured that the three pictures that I have are all about ballerinas at locations. So I was like, if I could do something same, I was struggling with the child portrait. So I said I want to do something on the similar lines with the child. I found this place the other day right by my house. And I was like, I mean, this looks perfect. You know, I could have a spotlight effect. It would look good. And I had the kids stand over there. Like, I did a test shot. Like, it looks good, perfect. I had the kid come in one day. We took a couple of shoots over there, and it was good. So what the whole deal was, I got those 4 pictures together because I thought it would say a story. So there's a child, there's another girl who's in college, there's a college graduate, and the fourth one's a mom.
Very
So
thoughtful.
all 4 of them together.
Where's Grandma? You gotta go back and do that.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm so impressed with about your work is your attention to detail, and that you really seem to, this is serious business to you. You know, you're really getting after it, and you don't, and you have your vision, which is really important, and you know how to execute it in a way that's very, very pleasing. So tell us a little bit about your immediate plans after graduation.
So after graduation, I'm going to New York City. I have an internship with a photographer over there. He does editorials for sports athletes for a period of 40 days. And then I go back to India for a month, and then I head back to college in UK for my master's. And then I come back to India and start photography.
Oh my goodness.
What are you going to get your master's in?
Marketing.
Most photographers don't take their promotion that seriously. So getting a master's in this.
My dad said, you're colorblind, you better get an alternative route to it.
Well, you know, if you keep doing this amazing kind of work, who needs color, right? I mean, it just looks so amazing. So while you're in college in the UK, how do you plan on, or are you planning, I know you're probably super busy, but do you have plans to kind of keep up your photographic endeavors?
I plan to shoot a lot of architecture over there because the university that I got into is known for its architecture, and there's a lot of good architecture around UK. And at the same time, when we have the winter break, I was thinking there are a couple of good photographers who I have in mind. If I could intern with them for a period of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that.
And so what drew you to the ballerinas, the ballet folks?
The first time I shot the powder series, and I was like, the first time, that was the fourth picture that I shot. That was the first time I ever tried the concept out. And it worked out really fine. So I shot another entire series with at least 10 more dancers. And I was like, I mean, if I'm shooting dancers, it's fun, I might as well put it in my entire portfolio and get a theme around it. And back in India, no one really does dance photography. So, and there are like 4 to 5 major dance companies. So I could probably be the first one to try it out.
Oh my goodness, you're not kidding.
That's what he gave to me, that's what he said. I picked dance because there's no one's doing it in India.
What a smart guy. I'll tell you right now, you're already just very, very smart. Awesome.
Well, let's give him something to work on, and take it out easy.
Well, I have to say, I really like this image a lot. I think it's very beautiful. I love the use of the color.
I love that it's backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's really, really nice. It's very theatrical. It's like, if you're going to do a portrait of Basil or something, like it's just a cool kind of portrait to do. Great use of the space, beautiful light. I thought that was really nice. I think you have to be really careful because a lot of this stuff comes easily to you, and you have to make sure you're trying 100%, because I feel like these pictures in another portfolio might be fine, but I think in yours they're the low points. Because they're cool, but they're not up there with the others. Do you know what I mean? Like your other pictures have a conceptual strength, and a graphic strength, and a lighting strength. They're good on all levels. And these are like, again, they're okay. There's nothing wrong with them. But it's just, you have to be sensitive to not congratulate yourself too much. You know what I mean? Seriously, you want to make sure like, this is good, but it's not up to my best work. You have to be your own worst. They always say you have to be your own worst critic. But the truth is, you have to know when you're on and when you're not. Because you could have a client who says, honey, that's the most brilliant stuff I've ever seen, and if it's junk, you need to know it's junk. Or you could just produce something that's the best work you've ever done in your whole life, and your client says, this wasn't what we had in mind. You know what I mean? And it happens. So you have to have a real good internal barometer. You need to know when you're on and when you're not.
So why aren't they? Why aren't they as good as your dance images? How did you drop the ball? Why did you drop the ball?
That's the ball shot. I just want this to all be relevant.
So, big answer.
Yeah. Okay, so the 3 that Gregory picked out that are not your best, that are kind of just in your portfolio, why aren't they your best? And why, if you really love the kind of the dance concept, why did you pursue these images the way you did?
For number one, what I thought was it could get a bit too saturated, saying that, okay, we have, 10 dance images?
Yeah.
And if we've seen you can shoot dance, what else can you do? That's one that I thought. Another thing was I also wanted to try shooting fashion. And so what I did for the third picture was I collaborated with a designer in Boston. And then, so I got everything worked out that way, and that's why I got this one up, yeah. And even the model, like she helped me get the model and everything. We got to a location on the docks in Boston and I shot this. And I was like, I need to try fashion because there are a lot of young designers coming up. So that's when I can collaborate with them, and I don't have to worry about the garments because they can give me the costumes. And perhaps even the models. So that's all I would need to build my portfolio in terms of fashion as well.
But the wardrobe could have had something that moved, not that she had to be a ballet dancer, but she's stuck in this region.
So to me, the issue with this picture is the background compared to these images, which all have this amazing sense of space. And this woman, if she had been transported into any of these spaces, you would have had a far more successful, because as we talk about the whole background thing, this is kind of a nice picture, but it's just a barely passable postcard sunset
It has
sort
no
of.
reason.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And the buildings just detract and distract us from her.
Yeah.
And if we're going to talk about buildings, you know what we're going to say here, right? This is this giant glowing bottle, and if you want us to believe that this is the 4 million foot tall Kettle One, we really need to have the reflection in here, and you need to have the sense of, come on, seriously, you got to follow through on the retouching. If you're going to do this, you're going to have to, I mean, that's what this is about. It's about really following through. And having an idea and taking it halfway is like telling half of a story. You never get to the end. You don't have any sense of completion. And I think that's really, really important. The glass is a little dirty here. That's very, you got to be careful about that. Those sort of details in still life. Still life is about just studying and studying the details, and you've really got to pay attention to that stuff. I like this. I thought this was kind of clever. Certainly one of the more clever of the corner window shots that we've seen, which is a genre. I think we
I
should
like that
collect
it's
them all.
brighter within the screen.
Exactly.
That's more luminous. I think that's subtle, but it's nice.
And the thing I like about that is that to me shows your ability to be creative. You know, that you're thinking outside the box. I mean, the dance images are by far, they're just amazing. But that shows that you can create, that you can effectively emulate the mistress over here. This to me says, I'm a little bit different and I can think outside the box. And I thought this was a really clever idea. I think you did a really good job.
Also, the computer being transparent, the clock is transparent. This is kind of fun. I think where people get into trouble a little bit is it's sort of like, again, this is not to endlessly go on about these, but people shoot these pictures because they think they're supposed to shoot these pictures. Like this looks like vaguely like some kind of fashion picture of a girl in a laundromat for no reason, or this is a picture of a person on dock for no reason, but it looks kind of like a fashion picture, and this looks kind of like a fashion picture, and that looks kind of like, and I think when you're actually doing something that's your thing completely, then you end up with a picture like this, and it actually doesn't look like anything else. It looks like your thing. And I think to whatever extent you cannot be shooting to a memory or to a template of some picture that you've already seen, it's harder. But if you just have a feeling or let your imagination take over, it takes you to a better place, and a place that's just uniquely yours. You know what I mean? I just think that's the best possible thing. You know what I mean? The other pictures are like, I think my picture should probably look like this. That's when it's a little bit less. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's just the coolest if you can do it like that. I think if you just keep following your heart like that and your imagination, and you've got the chops to do it, you're in great shape. I mean, really, it's like very super impressive. I think.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Excellent job. Congratulations.
Houston, what's up? What's up? Houston, what's up? Houston, jump on it, jump on it, jump on it. Welcome to the 2.5 Big Texas
Hey, have to say something to the camera. Hold up. Start recording. Hey, present to the camera. Oh God, no! Randy, 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 Randy. Thank you. Hey Randy, say something to the camera. Thank you. I told you to say something.